putting me over.
Well, you didn't move. You didn't move. Your council district expanded. So you still live in the same area. However, the district that you live in is larger because it's mostly single-family homes.
Okay, so District 1, this is me.
Council President.
I know we're gonna get to going to the people off the list.
This is me right here. This is District 1.
Okay.
And
So
suddenly, this looks like a child playing with Etch-a-Sketch.
that's why we have it up here on the screen.
And I don't understand how this happened. I don't understand.
Okay, so we'll go more into the process of distribution data. In the meantime, we'll turn it over to you in the studio when you're over here first.
You know, so we do have.
Freddy wins.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basic Politics Unfiltered. The meeting. Regarding the redistricting of Yonkers, quite the lively one there. See Vinny Spano, Deputy Clerk Mike Ramadelli, who pretty much does the work. Sorry for the delay, folks. Rain had to clean the mess of my garage. Good evening, folks. If you're with me, thank you for being up. I know it's late, but I went to go over this meeting. It was lively. It was you know, it was loud. You know, a lot of people were very upset, and they weren't afraid to voice that, you know, that anger and that frustration. You know, people in the back were, you know, yelling, Mike Spano, and there were hecklers, and people were even yelling at other people to speak up. I can't hear you, right? So people were really, you know, fired up about it. And a lot more people came out to this meeting than the one we saw on Monday, which was not as, you know, as energized, let's say. I want to go and show this woman again. She basically said what a lot of people have said now, and I heard this in the first meeting, and she mentioned it again along with other people who spoke. The district lines look like a child drew the lines with a Crayola crayon. And many people were upset because they no longer were in the district that they were once in, meaning that they no longer had the same council representative. And really, the people who were mostly mad about that were those who no longer had Anthony Moranti as their councilman. And they were upset. And they said, I want to go back. I didn't vote for the person that now represents me. And it's not fair. So let's listen to some of the stuff that people were saying.
Council President.
I know we're gonna get to going to the people off the list.
This is me right here. This is District 1.
Okay.
And
So
suddenly, this looks like a child playing with Etch-a-Sketch.
that's why we have it up here on the screen.
And I don't understand how this happened. I don't understand.
Okay, so we'll go more into the process of distribution. Once he pulls up his data. In the meantime, we'll turn it over to you in the studio when you're over here first.
You know, so in an effort to be fair to those who signed up and in the order of questions here tonight,
Geez, sorry about that. I was saying that the main reason why it's so difficult and complex is that they're districting not with the people in mind, and not with the goal of the point of redistricting, right? Why it's done every 10 years, and according to the census. They're obviously redistricting here to serve their agenda, right? To serve their own purpose, which is, two of them are to make District 6 more of a Democrat district, right? They want to get Anthony Moranti, who's a Republican out, who's been probably the most independent out of the council members. And they also want to get, want to have Mike Breen, pretty much run without anyone opposing him. Ron Matten had every intention of running for council, to represent District 5, but that little loop, there's sound, right? I got sound, right? Because anyway, the sound is on. But there's that little loop I call the tumor, right? The tumor that sticks out of District 6 now, and that goes into District 5 that encompasses Crestwood Lakes. But it also has some single-family homes there, and that includes Ron Matten, right? In his home, in his street. So he is now in District 6, and he was upset. So if you saw Ron Matten, speak today, you can see why he, understand why he was fired up. So they basically wanted Breen to have a pretty much, no opposition, clear and free race, and they want to get Moranti out. He's the most independent, like I said, out of the council members. He's a Republican. So they include Crestwood Lake because apartments, just statistically, people there are Democrats, right? Most Democrats. So that makes the District 6 more Democratic, which is why they kept toying with that district specifically. While people were saying, well, why don't you do this through other district or do it in this other district? Why is it only District 6, right? And so that's the reason why. They want to assure that next election they can get Moranti up out of there, right? They had 10 years to set up a plan A, B, and C, yet here we are having to understand they're working on limited time. Every time they take shortcuts, we the people get cut short. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And people made that that comparison to the term limit extension that was passed, introduced, voted on. They had a hearing and all that, but that all took all but 10 days. And the same process is happening here. And obviously we know why, right? They want to rush this through. They want to, make it to where not many people are aware of it, so they can just get it done without any opposition, without giving people really a chance to mobilize and really oppose this, but not this time. And I think after the term limit extension was rushed through and people felt slighted, they weren't going to have it this time, right? People were like, no, you need to extend it, right? Ask for an extension. They can do that. They don't have to rush it. They can ask for an extension and then take their time, right? Maybe rework it and include the people. And I think of everything, that I got from this tonight is that the people want to be included. The people are being left out, and it's not fair to them, and they're upset about it, right? And so that's what they want. They want to be included. I want to play some other people who were also there, who spoke out. A lot of people spoke well, and, it's a lot of people that I would say maybe these people might have voted for Spano at one point, but now forget it,
From our current district into District 6, which would be an east side district. Where I live now, northwest Yonkers, just so you know, we're near Untermeyer Park. We're near the Greystone train station. We're near a lot of parks, hills. We go back and forth. I myself use the train only. I think this was designated as a transit hub at one time. So we have issues on the west side, as a west side community, that we work on together. And being put suddenly into the east side just doesn't make sense and wouldn't allow us to work on our issues because they're not the same as those of the east side. So I posed this meeting, and I guess my question is, I saw that District 6 had the largest deviation of above the median population, that it was over by 987 people. So I'm just wondering if instead of just taking us, our area, our sliver of northwest Yonkers, and sticking us, in this big east side district, put us someplace else. And then you wouldn't have that such a large deviation anyway.
So again, she's talking about, you know, the largest deviation being in districts 5 and 6, right? That's their number one goal. That's their, you know, focus.
I am urging everybody to please vote no on this proposal and leave our current district table as it is. Thank you.
Everyone that pretty much went up there was against it. I don't know if anyone went up that was in support.
Seminary, all the way across town. Their area, the community of interest is on the west side. We have folks here who resided in this area at various points in time. They certainly understand that. When during COVID, the west side needed food, we responded to council members Piazza's food drive. We saw it as a community of interest. When JFK Marina, major changes were put there, we engaged with many areas of Yonkers, but we saw that as certainly a community park issue and a citywide issue. Maybe we should be embarrassed when Councilmember Arante was talking about UPS in Tuckahoe Road. None of us showed. Maybe we should be embarrassed that when Councilmember Rulo talks about what's going on in Hillview Reservoir, none of us showed. Maybe we need to learn from that and have more solidarity. But the core of it is a West Side neighborhood. There's a simple solution.
And Latino voters. Guys out there.
And it's Justin Tubiolo.
Thank you very much. Members of council, members of the clerk's office, thank you for doing a great job. I just want to reiterate something. And Dr. Burbridge, I read over your summary the other day. I think it was excellent. And I want to mention that traditional redistricting principles, number one, population equity. Number two, contiguous. Number three, compactness. Number four, respect for political and physical boundaries and communities of interest. District with concentrations of African American and Latino voters. I'd like to add a sixth to that. I would like the fairness, principle 6 to be, it would be a fairness for the voters and for the council members. Based upon what this lady said earlier, it's important to make sure that representation is equalized within the entire district. We look at a few things here. Number one, it's not just about the numbers. We can take a whole census tract, take an ED from other parts of the district and try to make that contiguous. Dr. Burbridge?
Are they even paying attention to this guy?
And what we can
Look at them.
do is
I want to get to Ron Matten. Actually, I want to hear this guy. Listen to this guy.
I've lived in granting as council, the president of city council, Ms. Collins, Ms. Diaz, Michael Green, and John Rubio voted to extend the term limits because of Michael Spano. Michael Spano is behind this. Because he wants more Democrats, so he thinks he's going to run it. Now they're talking about redistricting. Let's keep it the same way like years ago when I was a little boy. Community districts. If you're not going to do this, you're talking about the first district, the second district was minority. There's should be no guarantee. 1991, 1993, and 1995, Joey Barrett ran in the first council district. They said Joey Barrett cannot run in the first council district because I was white. It's not what you are, what color you are, it's what you're going to do for the whole city and the district. Senator Brandon was black, and she neglected the black community in the city of Yonkers. We have to keep districts the same, and we have to turn term limits and keep term limits. Only one that voted against term limits was Angie. That's why they're doing this, Michael Spano, because he wants to stop, have all the Democrats and everything, so he can run again for the fifth time, sixth time. It's time for a real change in the city of Yonkers. Also, voted no on the term limits, and also Williams, Sherman Williams, listen, we had a vote in 1994 to keep term limits, only 2 terms, 4 terms, 2 terms to vote. They changed it. Council, you're not going by the law. You're saying the restriction has to go by the law, but you only do this to your convenience. Thank you so much, and all the people.
So he was very upset. He was actually in the back yelling, "It's because Mike Spano. This is what Mike Spano." What he kept yelling that. He was actually at the first meeting too, and he was a bit vocal, but not as much as he was tonight. And so what he was saying was basically that we have to stop basing it on color, right? Race, right? We vote, they did it years ago. He was saying in District 1, and he wanted to run there, but they said that he couldn't because he wasn't black. They wanted a black person, right? And then now, I guess things are changing, I guess. So he's saying basically it should not be about color. It should be about people who are going to represent the people of Yonkers. That's it. Doesn't matter what color they are. He said, look, Simma Brandon, they voted for her, and what she do for black people. That's what he said, right? I thought it was great. And he kept blaming the Spanos, and this is all about the Spanos. That's why these lines have been drawn the way they have been drawn. And that was pretty much on point. I think that's basically it, right? The Spano administration continues to underestimate the senior population. The seniors are a buzz and not in support of another term. A lot of people are not in support of another term, but they're definitely the seniors, of course, because they've been around for a while and they've seen a lot and they know a lot, right, Carolyn? They know a lot, and they're tired of it. They're tired of it. They keep getting the short end of the stick. This is Ron Matten coming up. Now, Ron Matten was upset initially, was upset early in the week because he found out that the new district lines meant that he was now going to be in District 6. He had hopes to run against Mike Breen. So we thought that was over. But today, when I walked in, Ron Matten came up to me right away and he gave me his card. He is a candidate for District 5, a Republican candidate. He will be running anyway. And in fact, he has spoken to and has retained Michael Sussman. Sussman has reached out to the city of Yonkers and put them on notice. They need to save everything in regards to the redistricting. His client, Ron Matten, is going to sue, quite possibly, if he is unable to run for whatever reason in District 5. So he's ready to go. He's not taking this lightly anymore. He's very upset. He's had time to think. He was out in Germany, Oktoberfest, had some beers and said, F that, I'm going to come out and I'm going to do what I need to do. But he's not the only one. There are a few people that are just waiting and they're going to come out and they don't care what anyone in the Spano administration or those that are part of that machine say, part of the Democratic Committee or even the Republican Party has to say. They're running, and that's that. Check out what Ron Matten had to say.
Library closes at 8 p.m., so I want to give everyone an opportunity. Can we please keep it down so that we can hear the next speaker? We want to stay on topic so that everyone can get an opportunity to speak about redistricting tonight. Thank you.
So it's Ron Matten, Mark Jones.
My name is Ron Matten. I think I've met some of you before. I live at 116 Altavista Drive. I am in ED 5A. That little squiggly line kind of points out in purple. So, you know what? This feels awfully familiar. I'm having deja vu over here. I don't know. I get it. This feels like the term limits extension meeting that was rammed down our throat just a few short weeks ago. I just don't understand that. Term limits extension meeting, that's just too long a title for that. I think I'm going to call that a quid meeting, and in order to differentiate from this meeting, I'll call this the quo meeting. So back just slightly before the quid meeting, my venerable councilman, Michael Breen, sitting right up here in the front row.
You don't do nothing.
It's my turn. You had a great speech. Let me finish mine. All right.
And again, he was talking to the guy that just spoke. He says he don't do nothing when he was referring to Mike Breen. Watch what Ron Matten says here.
My councilman, Mike
listen.
Breen, He was on Rue Ross's Yonkers Voice, and he said, you know, term limits are the best thing we can have. The Senate should have term limits, Congress should have term limits, and the council should have term limits. That was a rousing speech. Just a few short weeks later, at the Quinn meeting, Mike Breen voted to overturn limits. Come on, we don't need term limits. We don't have term limits in the Congress, we don't have term limits in the Senate, we don't want term limits anymore. You know, we want 16 years to run for council. Well, I'll tell you, 16 years makes a great bottle of scotch, it makes a lousy council. He got some say in this redistricting. It's possible that he had it anyway because he's the minority leader. So I'm going to assume that the minority leader and majority leader, Tommy Meyer, I'm sorry, Tommy Meyer, I misspoke. I meant to say Tasha Diaz. I get those two rascals mixed up all the time. I'm going to assume that the council majority leader, the council minority leader, drew a line up in the 5th district and said, you know what, we're going to pack all these Republicans over here. There used to be Anthony Moran Republicans. Because he doesn't need them anymore, and we're going to reward Mike Green for his vote. And while we're doing that, we're going to take that 5-8 district that loops around. It used to have Ron Matten. By the way, for the last 6 months, I've been telling Mike Green, if you're going to run for council, you're going to have to get a set of track shoes, and you're going to have to lose 20 pounds because you're going to be running around. So I told him that I'm going to be running against him, and so miraculously, I'm out of the district. Anthony Moran, who voted against term limits, he got all these Democrats. I got no problem with Democrats. They're not likely to vote for Anthony Moran. So this is about retaliation. This is not about being fair on term limits. By the way, I'm also on a lawsuit. I'm suing all of you for your vote on term limits. So this is retaliation. But you know, this is all too complicated for me to suss out. I can't figure this out. So I've had to hire Michael Sussman. And if anybody wants to join me on the lawsuit, I'll be in the back and I'll take your name and we can sign up. By the way,
So the next speaker is Margaret.
it's a kind of a win-win for me because I get an upgrade in counseling. I get somebody who actually works for me as opposed to somebody who works for themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Ron Matten is pissed off. Ron, he's mad. You know, Ron is mad. And obviously it was personal. That speech was most definitely personal, right? But it was a lot better than the speeches the city council president and Tasha Diaz gave at the term limit meeting. Remember when they went off on everyone there? It was a lot better than that one. I liked it better. Well, anyway, he mentions Mike Breen's flip-flop. Mike Breen went on the Yonkers Voice and said that he believed in term limits, and he gave reasons why. That term limits were a good thing, and they were needed, and he believed in them, right? But then he changed his mind. He flip-flopped, and at the council meeting, when it was time to vote for the term limit extensions, he spoke and said he believed in extending the terms. He thought it was good for democracy, you know, and that people should have the opportunity to vote for Mike Spano again if that's what they want. Completely different from what he has said on Rue Rosa's interview. But it shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody because Mike Breen had mentioned he was in support of term extensions before the Rue Rosa interview, where he said he was against it. He mentioned it at the ceremony, the retirement ceremony for the former chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and made a joke about it and said, not having term limits is good. And he used the zoning board of the former chairman as an example. Why? He had been there for 50 years, the guy. 50 years, but they wanted him to get up out of there so they could bring Wilson Kimball, right? And he also brought the point up that they were rushing it through. And just like the term limit extension, they didn't care what people had to say. They were trying to do it quickly, get it done, and not give the people enough time to even wrap their head around it, right? And really fully understand what was going on. Many people who spoke said they just had learned about it within the last day or two. And it's not fair. It wasn't enough time. How did they communicate this meeting? How did they communicate the fact that this was even happening in the first place? Remember, initially they hired a consultant back in September. For some reason, he dropped out. But still, why were the residents not notified then when they hired that consultant that this was going to be happening and start to have town hall meetings? Again, people want town hall meetings in districts, each district, right? They should have a town hall meeting. So he's even the ones that tell me they like Mike Spano do not support another term. I believe that. You know, I've heard people, and actually people call me, and I was telling someone just to kind of vent about what's going on here in the city of Yonkers and how bad the corruption is. And a lot of people have said that. I like Mike Spano. You know, I voted for them once. You know, I know them. I know the family. But enough. I've had enough. I can't do with the Spanos anymore. This is crazy. You know, it's just, you know, it's doing, you know, just it's bringing a lot of like a turmoil to the city, right? Because it's not just the fact that Mike Spano's running again, right? And they're doing their corruption and all the luxury developments and everything that they're doing. But it's causing the people of the city kind of to be in turmoil, right? Because people are just tired of it. They want change. They're fed up with everything that's going on, the potholes, the traffic, you know, the just everything that's wrong with the city of Yonkers. Nothing is changing. Yet and still, these people have the nerve to come and redistrict the city, changing people out of their districts, changing their representation, not giving them enough time again to fully, you know, wrap their minds around it, understand this, give their input, really work with our government to see this process through. So people are just tired and they're angry. And that's why you see a lot of people shouting and saying, speak up, it's Spano. They didn't do anything. It was crazy in there. It was just pandemonium in there, right? Where was the Yonkers voice? I don't know. He only, you know, he only goes after accidents around this time of the night, you know, and anything like that, you know, overdoses and people getting shot, right? The interviews during the day are just so I don't get to do the interviews, right? That's really what it was. The city council Facebook page did not go live in the beginning. Really, they were put on notice to save the video from tonight's meeting and tried not to cover it all. Wow. What do you know what time they started covering the meeting? Around what part of the meeting did they start covering it? That's incredible. I think that over the last 4 decades, this disgustingly corrupt city has paid for Michael Sussman's own private island somewhere on this planet. Show me a hero foosball. A Hebrew hammer. Hebrew hammer. I don't know what that is. So this guy here, a gentleman here that I spoke with, you know, he has some good things to say. He actually went and created his own like flyer, right, and literature that he went out and handed out to his neighbors on his own, right? He says, listen, if they're not going to communicate this to us, you know, effectively, if everyone's not, you know, if they're not going to do their job to let everyone know, I'm going to have to do this because it's very important. So he went and created his own flyers, and he went out to start giving them out to his neighbors so they can come to this meeting and be aware of what's going on. So I think that's great. You know, that's what we need to do as a community. We have to work.
The comments become personal.
So the next speaker is Mark Carlisi, followed by Philip Armstrong.
My name is Mark Carlisi.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention, did you guys hear what Ron Matten had said? He's so upset that he said to he said that he had told Mike Breen. I just want to point that out. He told Mike Breen that if he plans to run again for the 5th district, he better do something and also lose at least 20 pounds, right? So, you know, a weight joke, you know, certain jokes, you know, but he's upset and I get it, you know, listen, I thought it was funny, but it's not, you know, something that, you know, people wanted to hear there and they thought that it was, you know, not nice, but I get it, Ron, I understand.
Hills Homeowners Association, and I just want to thank all my neighbors that came out. I wanted to let the council know that I spent my weekend canvassing 200 houses in my neighborhood with a flyer that I made because I felt like there wasn't adequate communication to the 200,000 residents. However, I will thank our post office for working to improve that, and I recognize that as you announced, you're going to work to improve that communication. Thank you. Connie Breen had distributed a map of our HOA to you. Looks like this one here, highlighted in yellow. For many decades, we have been entirely in the 6th council district. We like being in the 6th council district. Now we are split right down the middle between the 4th and the 5th. This is obviously a problem for us. We don't know how we are going to operate as one community with 2 different council members. So when we have issues with a pothole on Kingston Avenue, which is split between both council districts, who do we call? When we have our HOA meetings, will both Mr. Rubio and Mr. Greenwood be attending? I will say that from our friends in the 4th and 5th districts, we're not going to hold our breath. Now, normally I'd say this isn't a big issue because, you know, politicians, they come and they go, but in Yonkers, some politicians don't seem to want to leave even when their time is up. So just remember that we're not going to be stuck with you, you're going to be stuck with all of us. Thank you.
Followed by Margaret, Coleman.
What I was saying, I do that because I have the water coming in from the rain of the sub pump anyway. But he was saying that, you know, the new district lines have split communities, right? They split neighborhoods right down the middle, or, you know, so your neighbor may be in one district, you're in another, making it more difficult for people to be, you know, a community and get things done as a community, right? You used a pothole as an example. You know, what if there's a pothole on this side of the street, but that's not my district, right? But I still am affected by it, right? It doesn't matter where the pothole is at, you know, complain about it. And if they don't do anything about it, then give me a call, right? Because I've been known to get potholes fixed now. So let me know. But that was his thing. He went out there and he said he reached out to about 200 people on his own. And another complaint he had was the way they communicated this information to people. And they're not doing a good job. The fact that not many people knew about the meeting, and he himself had to take it upon himself, spend money to get paper printed up to go and let his neighbors know. Actually, there are 2 videos for some reason. It was not one consecutive one, and that's why I received calls. They could not find it. I could not find it as well when I looked. I will send out a mass text in the morning so they can go back and see the first one. Yeah, and I post up some videos and stuff too. And who knows? Maybe they're doing something where they're editing the videos for whatever reason, wanting not to show everything. You know, who knows? Who knows why they do these things? Remember, they deleted the city council page from 2021 and creating a new page. So a lot of the stuff that was on there completely gone. Although anyone who's looking to sue and wants that information, you can still contact Facebook and they have it there. Christine Peter, no, this is Margaret Coleman.
Symbolizes the lack of transparency.
Let's see Margaret Coleman. She, Reverend Margaret Coleman, candidate for mayor.
Good evening, my name is Margaret Coleman. I reside I just want to say it is apparent that the discourse surrounding redistricting further symbolizes the lack of transparency, the ineffectiveness of good governing, as well as being intentional in process and procedures. The citizens of Yonkers have grown weary of rushed legislation. The citizens of Yonkers are worn out from hurried legislative actions that have not been digested well enough to offer careful consideration. What should have happened is that each council person held a town meeting first to discuss with their constituents about what they were proposing for their district, a collective view which didn't happen. Once again, like the term limit extension, our elected who are here to serve are governing from a reactionary process and position and not a democratic one. The president of the council stated on Monday that these forums are being held to hear the will of the people. Well, the will of the people, based on what I'm hearing, want the maps to be fair and equitable. And the only way that happens is to request for an extension that you can do through the courts to ensure that this is a true, equitable, legal process. Have a wonderful night.
Okay, that was Reverend Margaret Coleman. She is mayoral candidate. She the only one. Well, Prince Robinson also, and aside from Mike Spanos, the only one that's announced that she will be running for mayor. She's going to be entering the Democratic primary this weekend. Anthony Moranti will be announcing his intentions on running for mayor as well over at Mount Olympus. And I should be there to cover it. So check the page out for that. I want to show, is this Christine Peters? I believe it might be Christine Peters. I want to show what she had to say. No, that's not what I wanted to do.
And I currently reside at 205 Matten. Sorry.
Oh man, what a crowd. What a crowd.
But anyway, so a couple of things. So first things first, I know that correlation is not causation, but just the fact that these maps went through so many different changes kind of leaves us all to question different things. So I was wondering, can you release the original maps so that we can see the different changes that went through in the process as possible? I don't know if that was something that was released somewhere that I couldn't access, but if it was, it would be great if we can also see that. So that's number one. Number two, so realistically, right, this is going to be, I'm also pragmatic, and I know that you all have to vote on this so that because there's elections coming, but this is also something that we're going to have to deal with for the next 10 years, right? So I actually agree with Dr. Coleman that we need to have these public hearings before major changes that would affect us for years and years, so that we can. And Dr. Rubbish, thank you so much for the work that you've done here. But with all due respect, right, you're a consultant. I know that you did the last maps, but we'd like to weigh in on what things the consultants can, like what guidelines maybe, and what you can do, and what you can't, right? Because at the end of the day, all of this determines so much for us in the long term, and it really affects our lives every day, right? Because it's local government. That all being said, those are the two kind of suggestions I want to say, and this is not just about this process. I think in general, for major processes that will affect us, it would be great to have a public forum, even if it's not just every single council person, even if it's just something like this, just so that you can weigh in on the different things that we have to say. And really what I'm asking for is for government to utilize us citizens as your partners, to really hear from us rather than making decisions by yourselves that would affect all of us every single day. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Good job, Christine Peters, who's very, very active here in Yonkers, especially with education and stuff. But she says there, we want to be your partners. Government, local government, especially because we are affected, every day basically by the decisions that our local government or officials within our local government make. And so that it's important that we have these town hall meetings, whenever they're going to, wherever we're going to go through these major processes, right? These major decisions are going to be made. We should speak with each other, the council and the people and our elected officials and the people, and to, go over things before we get to this point, right? We're pretty much far along in the process where it's just about a matter of them just voting on it, yes or no. The lines have been pretty much already drawn, that's set, right? But are they? I think that they may be making some changes after tonight's meeting and after Monday's meeting.
Hi, I really appreciate my name is Mary Pastor Cryan. I'm a Yonkers resident, live on Hampshire Road and been there for 30 years. I appreciate the woman who just spoke before me. I think she really captured our concerns and sentences seen. I appreciate the town hall getting voters' perspective. This is very helpful. According to the information provided for District 5, the current voting age demographic that increased the most is a Hispanic growth of about 3,000. It's not clear the proposed redistrict is taking this growth into its new mapping by expanding north. I concur that this process is rushed. I'm concerned that this is a concerted effort not to benefit constituents, but rather to extend control and keep certain politicians in office. While staying on topic, term limits is in fact relevant since the city council will decide this redistricting. I and my husband have already experienced spot zoning. We are opposed to proposed modification of District 5 as proposed.
So she said it. She just said it. She said this is a concerted effort to extend control, to remain in power, right? To retain power. That's what ultimately it's about. That's why the lines look so crazy the way they do. And that's why District 6 has been tweaked with so much, as well as District 5, because it's a concerted effort to extend control, just like the rushed process that we saw with the term extension. And although they said stay on topic, it is all the same topic. And that topic is corruption, right? So they are staying on topic, and they do have something to do with each other, the term extension and this rush process here. See if there's anyone else, maybe one more person I'll show real quick, and then we can move on. I don't know if this lady spoke well.
My name is Caroline Stern, and I've lived in Ludlow Park, which is a neighborhood in 62 Beechwood Terrace for almost 30 years. My city council is District 3. Two. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a long-term member of the Community Association of Ludlow Park. And I think one of the reasons why we are as strong as we are is because we're a community forged in sewage. And because of that, having to deal with a sewage treatment plant in Southwest Yonkers, we have grown strong and thoughtful and have pulled in a neighborhood that is now about to move this way. I am not sure why there's sanctity in the designations of elected officials. I am not sure why in this past election, in the U.S. Congress, people were allowed to run at addresses that were not part of the district that they were running for.
I can't hear what she's saying, really. I'm sorry.
Sewage treatment, about development, and we are a real neighborhood. So it really is important not to break up this neighborhood in the council district. Right now, we're all represented by tourism in District 2. We understand that it's not going to be easy just moving one election district back to the next, but it means getting creative. We know that the council will not be able to make everyone happy because that there are changes in the census. But right now, the proposed map makes more people unhappy, clearly, than happy. No one has spoken in favor of the maps. So therefore, I think the council should consider going back to the drawing board, providing at least 3 proposed maps for folks to choose from that work within the deviation requirements. A place like Ludlow Park, as I said, is represented by Council 2, would be best, and 3 would be best if placed in one council district entirely. And specifically, I think it was 4, 5, and 418, we want to be sure that those are back into Council District 2 to make Ludlow Park unified neighborhood. Thank you.
So I like what he said. I like his idea. He said, basically, why don't you guys come up with 3 different maps? And then we can decide on those 3 different maps, based on the requirements that you have to work with, right? The parameters that they are required to work within. So, I think that's a good idea, actually. They should have done that from the beginning, right? It's kind of like a contractor thing, give me 3 proposals and then we'll choose on the best one. So I think that's a good idea to the gentleman who's from District 2. And so the 2 people you saw there are actually people who live in the Ludlow Park area where there's a lot happening over there, right? A lot of redistricting and not redistricting, rezoning and developments going up. So, they are a pretty powerful group of individuals in that area. And I believe that one of the, leaders, I guess, of that is Eileen O'Connor. And, Corazon represents that area and she gives them a lot of her attention, right? a lot more than she gives No Dine Hill. That's for sure. You won't catch her on Elm Street, right? Nightmare on Elm Street, but you will catch her over there on Sunnyside, right? Sunnyside Drive, ain't that right, Corazon?
You all, yes, thank you. So we currently belong in the Gramerton, in District 4, and under the plan, we would be in District 5. We are currently part of the Gramerton Hills community, but under the proposed plan, we would basically have a situation where our neighborhood would be split apart, and our particular street, Gramerton Drive, would be split from the rest of Gramerton Hills. And if anyone is familiar with the area, which is on Palmer, and the major street there is Kingston, we have the Con Edison plant next to Gramerton Drive, and there's been a history of back and forth with issues with Con Edison. Splitting up our street from the rest of Gramerton Hills and putting us into District 5 would dilute the voice of everyone on Gramerton Street. In addition to what was also mentioned earlier, just some common issues, potholes, petty crime. There's everyday bread and butter issues that we as a community have dealt with together, and that now we're talking about a diluted voice. With all due respect, moving us to District 5, those are different interests. They're on the other side of 87, they're on the other side of Deegan. There's no interest there about what's going on with the Con Ed issues. We want to stay together in District 4. Thank you very much, and we appreciate
So again, people feel like they're being split up. Their community is being broken up. All these years of being together. Even though they do this every 10 years, but it seems like one of the most drastic changes that has been proposed. Right? I mean, the way that people are being split up, streets are being divided. And so they're saying that we've worked together as a community for so long, in the same district, right? In District 4, that, now it's going to mess that up. Now some of us are in District 5 and we have a different representative. Although you guys have been working together to get things done, right? In District 4, just continue working together to get things done. Even if you're in District 5, District 4, if it's in the same street or neighborhood, doesn't mean you can't work together ultimately, right? Somebody's got to answer to that stuff and get these things done. Right? And if they don't, then that's why we vote them out. Let's see if anybody else, I don't know what he had to say. That's Christine. I think I like what this guy had to say here.
Hello, my name is Michael Pineda. I'm from 66 Mansion Avenue, the Dunwoody section of Yonkers. Lived here my whole life. Good afternoon, City Council, Council members. My name is Michael Pineda. Within the past recent months, I have noticed a lot of things being done in the city, approved by city officials against the will of the people. First was the extension of the term limits that sought to benefit certain elected officials rather than leaving it up to the residents to vote on. Now it's the proposed redistricting map. As I have attended the previous meetings that took place this past Monday, I have questions about whether the proposed map was made with consideration of the Yonkers residents and its potential effects on the local community. For starters, why are we just finding out about this redistricting proposal if this was in the works back in September? I learned on Monday that Dr. Vazquez was hired around the holiday season, but there was another designer hired in September. If this was the case, why weren't we informed when the process started? Until Friday, residents were not informed about the law. Nevertheless, the short time frame must now be accomplished with it. Second is, how will this version of the map reflect the communities who reside within these districts? And moreover, how will this proposal impact the districts we reside in? Looking at the new proposal for District 6, which has the biggest alteration, now incorporates parts of Yonkers along the Hudson River, which is a pretty big expansion. However, there are different needs that need to be met between these different groups, and it seems that this was not taken into consideration. More so with this extension, I find that I would also be hard on its elected city council members to effectively provide for both communities as they become stretched thin. There was a mutual consensus Monday and today from my fellow residents that this new proposal does not benefit local Yonkers communities, and one we unanimously agreed that we do not approve. If the council decides to vote yes on this proposal of the map after hearing the disapproval of their constituents, it will once again make us question whether the council is serving the people here in Yonkers, or if there are other motives behind the districts and how they were divided. All of Yonkers should have a say on this matter, not just the 6 or 7 before us. If you vote yes on this version after hearing our concerns, it will show the true colors as you neglect the voice of the people once again. I hope I can be proven wrong about this meeting being just for show, and I certainly hope that this proposal is not approved after hearing the community's shared agreement, and that this is not a proposal designed with the Yonkers residents in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, I like what he had to say. I mean, he spoke about the will of the people, right? They are completely neglecting the will of the people. What is it that the people want? And they will do the opposite. And we've seen that time and time again. And he brought up the term limit. He said it happened then. The people didn't want it, but they passed it anyway. Here we are now, once again, the redistrict of Yonkers. The people don't want it. They don't like the new maps, but it doesn't seem like they care really what is that the people want. And he says is they move forward with this like they did with the term limit, it will once again show their true colors. They're not concerned with the people of the city of Yonkers. They all are being told what to do. There's an agenda, there's a plan. And it hasn't been drawn up by our city council. They just follow the plan. They just stick to the script. That plan, that script has been drawn up by none other than Nicholas Spano and the Spano family. It's all about remaining in power, retaining control. And they will do that at all costs. And it doesn't matter what the people want, right? Because their plan is to move forward anyway. And so they will blatantly disregard what we have to say. And it bothers people. That bothers a lot of people. And that's one thing that people have said that really upsets them, as well as I, that they don't care. They will do it anyway. They sit there, rolling their eyes, disinterested, in their phones, not paying attention, because they know ultimately they're going to do what they've been told to do. And there's nothing that you and I can do. Or at least that's what they think. We can do something about it, and we have to come out. And we have to come out this year to vote Democrats June. And I'm hearing that the date has not been set, but I'm hearing June. If that changes, I will let you know. But Democrats, June primary, we must come out. The general election will be in November, but right now the focus is the primaries because Mayor Spano, right, is going to be in the Democratic primary. And along with other Spano operatives, right, Tasha Diaz, she will be in the Democratic primary, right? And if they have a Republican primary, when does anyone know when that might be? I'm not sure, right? You're right, Sal. Absolutely. There is a club and we ain't in it. You're absolutely right, Sal? And, you know, I don't care though, right, Sal? And I don't want to be in that club. And I don't think that you want to be in that club either, right? And we are in our own club, and that club is the people. And we are a much stronger club. We just have not realized it yet. Or some people are just afraid to show that strength, right? They feel that, you know, they can lose a job they may have, or their business may, you know, be harassed, you know, some consequences, some retaliation. But we have to come out. We have the power. We have the majority. So we have to speak out. And more people are. More and more people are. So it's good to see that. And I'm glad that so many people came out and spoke out. And I'm glad that people are really calling it for what it is. This is about remaining in power. This is about the Spanos doing what they need to do to assure that they are victorious in the elections. They're already pushing it, right? By, you know, getting this term limit extension passed and running for a fourth term. I mean, that's pushing it. So now we have this districting thing, and the maps are just all crazy. And so here we are once again. And so people are even more upset. And I'm glad that people are speaking out. But yeah, it's a club and we're not in it. But I don't want to be in that club. Trust me, you don't want to be in that club anyway. It's full of people that are not so nice. Right. It looks like there's a lot of opposition to this. Yet the city council president, the CCP from CPG, who works for the GOP, looks like she couldn't care less. Body language is 85% communication. Absolutely. I mean, and that bothers me a lot. I see that. I'm like, they just don't care. You know, it's like, what can you do about it? Right. And then I'm going to do something about it. Right. Because That's one thing about me I have to work on, right? I like to be in control, and if I can't control something, that irritates me. But this is something that, you know, we should have more control. And as the people, as the voters, they work for us. They represent us. They don't represent Nick Spano and the Spano administration, the developers that hire Empire Strategic Planning, the lobbying firm that is owned by Nick Spano, the brother of Mayor Mike Spano, if you don't know. And that is why they're doing this. They're wanting to retain power, stay in office. They have more luxury developments that need to get approved and go up, and they have to make sure that that happens. They've made commitments to their clients, and they have to follow through. They're getting paid lots of money. Empire Strategic Planning gets paid thousands of dollars a month from developers, from companies like Empress, St. Joseph. They get paid thousands and thousands of dollars. AMS, Ginsburg. And for that, they get the assurance that, one, Mike Spano is going to remain in office because they need someone that is going to play ball with them, assure that they don't have any issues in the building department, that their permits move quick, or that they get away with stuff they're not supposed to do. Like one developer who's building a few houses, I won't say the street, but the steps are literally, the bottom of the steps or the stairs are literally about a foot away from the street. But somehow this developer got the approval for that. I mean, you walk down on the last step, you take one step onto the sidewalk, the next step you're on the street. You literally walk down to the curb. And so some people get away with, breaking the rules because their money helps keep these individuals in power and makes them rich. And the city council president has her eyes on the prize. That's all she's thinking about. As she's sitting there, she's thinking about city court judge. I'm going to be a city court judge. I'm going to be a city court judge, and my husband's going to be a YPD, and we're going to have a happy family. That's what she's thinking about. There's no doubt about it. She's been promised a spot as a city court judge. That's a $200,000 a year job. And she doesn't have to put up with this anymore. But she'll do it for a little while, and then her husband will become a YPD officer where they average $147,000 a year. And although her husband is a correction officer, he doesn't have a trivial job like a supermarket job, quote unquote. He's not making $147,000, is he, Lakeisha? And so that's a big leap from what he's making now. And nobody's ever, tried to minimize your husband's career. It's not what we're saying. We're saying that he's looking to move up, get more pay, right? And so are you. And so let's just be honest. And Dr. Beveridge, the longtime Democratic operative, Democratic district leader at one point, goes back to this, here in the cities since the mid-'80s, been very involved. And he's tied to a gentleman by the name of James Sertivo. James Sertivo is a consultant for Ginsburg. They're doing a lot of the development over at the Ludlow Park area, District 2, where the gentleman was saying he was from. They're going to be blocking all your views, guys. Just know that. Check out all the traffic you're going to be having when it's all said and done. And, unless you're planning to sell your house, I don't see what benefit you have there, especially when the studios come in. And so Mr. Beveridge is close friends with James Sertivo. So he, I'm sure, has spoken to his friend James, and James has said, hey, if you can help us out with this, with that, Ginsburg would appreciate it. And someone made a comment that we should have gotten, or they should have hired someone that was independent outside, of any connection to the city. Right? That would have been a good idea. It's just very strange how it happened, how it just came down to Mr. Beveridge, right? How the other consultants one was chosen, but he couldn't do it. Now he dropped out. The other one just dropped out at the last minute. And Andrew Beveridge was the last man standing, and he got the job. But according to Mike Breen, this is according to, reliable sources. People, they said I was there. And Mike Breen said that Tom Meyer was the one that drew the district lines. The Democratic chairman. Also the commissioner of DPW. That's what Mike Breen said. He said, you know, what could I do? Tom Meyer, this is what he wanted. That's what he presented. We got to go with it. And so the response to that was, someone responded, well, basically that's Mike's panel. So basically the panels drew this map here. And maybe that's why it looks like a child did it with a crayon. That's what someone said. Right? So is that true? Someone's lying. Either the person that said it or Mike Breen. But was it Tom Meyer that drew the map? And if it was it on behalf of the Spano family or the Spano administration, I should say, not the family, the administration, huh? I don't know. We know that Mike Breen is a turncoat, and he's no longer really representing his party. Anyone else before I go? This woman here actually had a good point. I'll leave her as the last person here. She's been living here 25 years, she says, 25 years. And this is really the first time she's heard about this process. And she didn't know anything about it. And now that the lines have been drawn to where it's all crazy, and she's like, wait a minute, what's happening here? I have a new representative. I'm in a new district. Wait a minute, what is this? Right? She had to come out and say something about it, right? And so I give a lot of respect to her. Again, Carolyn, the seniors, yeah, they do a great job. Very smart, speak well, get their point across.
Because I don't do it my entire life, ma'am. Because
Well, I just want to get at the beginning.
the council, okay. All right. Why couldn't you bring the council before you put the maps and talk to the people? They are upset because this is you know, it's not like it's you. It's these people, myself included, that it is changes. And I would like to know the real reason that you are doing this, because I don't do it my entire life, ma'am, sir, things that don't make any sense to me. So these have to have a lot of sense. We are big one. Please.
So basically, she's, you know, and she doesn't seem like she's not a smart woman. I mean, you know, she sounds like she's a smart woman, educated woman. She lives in District 5, and she's wondering, why is this happening? And I believe she got moved into District 6. She doesn't understand. Why do we have to? She's like, why do we have to even go through this? What's the point of this? Why are you doing this? Who's doing it? Who's deciding this? Why? Right? Why can't we just stay the same? That's basically what, just leave it alone. Leave us. She said, I think a woman says, leave us alone. Just leave us alone. Right? Leave us alone. We don't want to be bothered. And there are, you know, a segment of our population here in the city of Yonkers are like that. They just want to be left alone. They don't want to be bothered. They just want to come to their home, live in their house. They don't really engage in politics all too much. Right? That's it. They're those people that don't bother. But now she's upset. Wait a minute. Now you're making me, you know, go through changes. You know, now I'm being impacted directly. And I don't know what this is all about, right? Why do you have to do, she's asking, why did you do it? It's funny, yo, but I thought she was great though anyway.
Why are you separating this district with those, they look like puzzle? What is the big reason, the real reason?
So we have
What's the real reason?
I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning of the meeting. Redistricting is required by law. Every 10 years when the census is done and we find out whether our population has increased or decreased, we must redraw the lines to ensure that we have equal population throughout the city. So the lines have to be redrawn. When population increases on one side of town, we have to distribute the population evenly. And that's why the lines are redrawn. It happens on the federal level, it happens on the state level, the county level, and we're working on the city level right now. So it's required by law. The point of it is equal distribution of population. And the question is, where do you draw the line?
You gave me a good reason, ma'am. Except that there are many ways to clear cut. You either pull it or you just want it out. So I will say say for you, instead of just, I didn't even know myself. I didn't even know 2 minutes ago where I was supposed to be. So this is how lack of information for people and plan, because like I said again, I've been here 26 years and I never had any experience like this. So this is something new, absolutely new. And I don't know who is going to benefit from this. If that is used to benefit, it's not really.
Can you please stop with the yelling out in the back, let her speak?
Yes, it's whoever is going to benefit, obviously you can say that there, that everybody is unhappy. So I think for everybody's sake, just leave us alone.
If you were here at the beginning of the meeting, you would have heard first, the last time there was redistricting was done in 2014. So we were all here the last time redistricting was done.
Okay.
I'm gonna answer your question clearly. One, the last time redistricting was done was in 2014, after the 2010 census. Two, the law requires that we be within a 5% deviation. The current map has us at 15%. So the current map, the way we are right now, is violating the law. Therefore, a change has to happen to lower the deviation. The question becomes where the lines are drawn. People will have to be moved in and out of districts based on population, and we are trying to do it in the most fair way.
I'm repeating it again. You should ask. I mean, you can know this count how to try to.
You know, ma'am, with all due respect, there's other speakers lined up. Many speakers here this evening only have 3 minutes. You've had actually 5 minutes, so please.
Well, I still want to say this, the last thing. You should have done it different way, man. Don't join at once. Have people here in a meeting and tell them what is coming up, and then you will go behind it. Okay?
So I just been informed that we're not signing up outside, but rather, the deputy clerk here, to the side, deputy clerk, Marissa Pena will sign, take your name.
These are the community. See, anyone, all.
Take your name after you speak, thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Hubiat. I live at 48 Lyons Drive. I live at Brampton Hills Homeowners Association. And what makes me very concerned is that our homeowners association is over 50 years old, older than all of you have been in office. Yet, the redistricting that's been done divides our homeowners association down the middle. I don't want to see anyone's homeowners association divided. These are the communities of interest. That should have been a requirement you were forced to work around, but it isn't that way. We have been historically effectively represented by Anthony Moranti, who has consistently followed up. We now run the risk of being in a situation where not only we're not in one group, we're in 2 different groups, and nobody has our interest, and we have Con Ed in our back. So I would ask you to consider putting our group, which is the area, the bottom area of districts 4 and 5, the top of 4 and 5, which used to be in 6, back in 6, and that would help solve the first person who spoke wanted to get out of District 6. Put us back in, please. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Election.
I think we should outsource this to someone who doesn't live in Yonkers. Yeah. Now, I'd like to know the answer to the when the largest suggestion being apply for more time, apply for extension, because everybody that I know just found out about this on Friday. And there was a heck of a lot more time, and there's a lot more people that want to know what's going on in their space. And the idea that Yonkers doesn't have my email address is nonsense. You've got 2 email addresses. So that's all I have to say, but I would like to hear an answer to that woman's question, but.
I did. There is no special election. The
It
elections,
seems special on its own.
the elections this year are for the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th council
Well, I
district.
still live in the 3rd.
I don't know, you said you live in 1200 Warburg. I think that's supposed to be in the 6th. Right? So.
Are you running? This year. So this man would be my council person, who none of my neighbors voted for. No one where I live voted for him. You don't know the man.
Understandable. This is still a proposed map. The next question was, is there another meeting? At the beginning of the meeting, I know you were here because you were the first person to talk with me, was that I am considering, and we'll speak with the council members about having another meeting before the public hearing. There is a public hearing which is required by law in the municipal home rule law that we have a public hearing. It is currently scheduled for January 31st in the council chambers at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Right. However, we are looking to put together another meeting. Again, I'll discuss it with the council. What we did for the town hall, we sent robocalls. We posted it on all of the council members' social media. Well, each council member sent out newsletters and posted on social media to let you all know that these meetings were taking place. And the city has the proposed map on the website. All of that information went up as soon as it became available. So I would ask if your number is not with the city and you get the robocalls like about your taxes and things of that nature, all of those went out Friday about these meetings. Yes, so we did a robocall because we wanted to get to as many people as possible. So if you leave your information, you will be included in that number to get new information.
I did get the robocall about my taxes that you got robocall about.
Robocall went out Friday evening. Once we posted it up, we didn't want to send out a robocall saying it's posted on the website and then someone hangs up and wants the website.
Well, folks, I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. That's the meeting on the new district maps. People are upset, wondering why they weren't notified sooner. Why were they redistrict or redrawn the way they were? People just want to go back. They want to be left alone. They're pissed off. And guess what? They're going to come out and vote. People are going to come out and vote for change. I have a feeling. And Vinny Spano was pissed off. Did you see the guy's face? His leg was shaking. Anybody see the leg shake?
You know, every time we come in and they consider deviations about Hispanics, Latinos, whites, and blacks, but they never consider the questions about what's happening in the community. The council hears the community all the time. They know the wishes, and they know that the communities are not always represented. This map, the Honorable Sir Dr. Beveridge has been doing year after year. I just want to know, what are the guidelines? Is it just political, or do you ever consider the interests of the community? Yes, you have deviations, but what are the deviations? Only based on ethnic and race? Think about what's happening. Housing, education, healthcare, labor, and where they are. You put housing, the council does not consider, they put all the housing on one side of the city, and the population that increases, and it makes the city one-sided. All the money goes on the west side, but never on the east side, where the land is expensive, do they ever do it? Where are the statistics coming from? From the poor, from the repressed, from the oppressed people of Yonkers. Start thinking about the people and not the deviations, but how you can make Yonkers a better place for our citizens, for our children, for education, for healthcare, for the hospitals, for the workers who put this together and vote for you every day, and are your money in the bank?
hopefully everyone that spoke gave your name to the clerk's office. If there are no further comments.
Well, folks, they decided to hold off on the vote, but they are going to have another public hearing. I'll be posting the information as soon as I get it. She said, I decided to hold off, you know. They may make some changes, and I think they made some notes on the changes that they are, you know, gonna do because they feel like maybe these are the people that made the most noise, so we want to appease them.
Whenever there is legislation,
But they're not going to change much.
the rules committee sets the agenda. So the rules committee could say, which I preside over, this item is going on the agenda for the next council meeting in a vote, or this item is going to a committee for further discussion. After Monday's meeting, after Monday's meeting and hearing you all, we did not move that item to the agenda for a vote. Presently, this item is still in the rules committee. The rules committee will have a meeting, likely a special meeting, the one that I'm describing that we have Mr. Beveridge come to, and we sit down and have a discussion and try to adjust it in ways that would appease most of Yonkers. I know we can't appease all of Yonkers.
So this is about retaliation. This is not.
Can agree with. It will go from rules committee, a public hearing, onto the agenda for a vote. And that's how the process goes. So the agenda, the legislation has been written. It goes to rules committee. Yesterday was the rules committee meeting. That item was held in committee and not put on the calendar for the next council meeting, which is next week, for a vote. So it's not presently set to be voted upon. Okay?
Next Tuesday you vote on it?
No, it's not on the agenda for a vote. Okay, thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Neal. It's not on the agenda for a vote.
It's not on the agenda for a vote.
This is not something that council is going to vote. So the next.
No, it's not on the agenda for a vote. Let's check. I'm gonna leave you guys out with Ron Matten once again, and check out Vinny's face. Vinny Spano was pissed.
Complicated for me to suss out. I can't figure this out. So I've had to hire Michael Sussman. And if anybody wants to join me on the lawsuit, I'll be in the back and I'll take your name and we can sign it. By the way,
So the next speaker is Margaret.
it's a kind of a win-win for me because I get an upgrade in pension. I get someone who actually works for me as opposed to somebody who works for themselves.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ron Matten, folks. That's Ron Matten. That's right. People are frustrated, man. People are tired. People are tired and frustrated, man. Ron Matten, District 5. Ron Matten for District 5, folks.
That was a rousing speech. This feels like a term
Ron Matten's funny guy. Thank you, Ron, for the laugh. I appreciate it. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. That's Ron Matten. He is running for District 5, Mike Breen. You're going to have to work a little bit. Vinny, don't be so mad. Don't be so mad. You was pissed off, dude. Vinny was pissed off. Had the legs shaking off. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And I'm up out of here.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. What do you think about the meeting? Folks, listen, we got to come out and vote this year. If you don't already know, this is political. This is politically motivated. They are looking to remain in power. They want to get Moranti up out of there. They wanted to make sure that Breen would have no competition. He would remain in District 5. That's what it's all about. The term limit extension was about keeping Mike Spano in office for another 4 years so they can make more money with the developers. So, folks, we got to come out and vote on Freddy Vazquez. Let people know about the podcast. There were a lot of people there, who didn't know about it. I was letting some people know, but there were a lot of people there who knew about it. So thank you for the people that, said hello to me and said they love the podcast. They love the videos. Shout out to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. And thank you for saying hello. And let them know, Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics, where the truth lives and the corruption dies. Come here for the truth. Come here for the information. We must come out and vote against corruption. And if you guys need potholes fixed, let me know. Let me know if you have any issues in your community, potholes, a broken fire hydrant. I will get it fixed for you. And by the way, inside Yonkers, you're wrong. Because it was a reliable source, and I'm not going to say any more than that, that told me about the fire hydrant needing to be fixed. They were out there. DPW was out there working. Not only was I told by a reliable source, but I was told by a resident who lived in the area who was watching them. He saw the fact that the fire hydrant was not functioning properly. He saw DPW working and repairing the pipe that had connected to the fire hydrant. Something happened, it bust or something which reduced the pressure, like I said. Why? Because these pipes are old. There's a lot of, strain being put on our infrastructure. Today, I noticed the fire hydrant being used by a developer, no meter. They're supposed to be paying for that water. They're using our fire hydrants, free water, not paying for it, putting a strain on our already deteriorating infrastructure, pipe, sewage system. And we suffer ultimately. So to the Inside Yonkers guy, please let them know, folks. I want you guys to let these guys know my information, is pretty accurate, right? And sometimes it may not seem that way because you don't have all the information, and I have not given you all the information. I give it to you when I can. Like I have some information that I'm dying to get, put out, but I can't. I promised I'd wait. And make sure to reach out to me, politicwithfred@gmail.com. If you have any information, do not worry about me. I will not out you. If you are genuinely looking to give me information, to make people aware of something, to make some change, to get something done about it, I will not out you. Only those who have tried to sabotage what I'm doing here, I've outed. So you have no worry. Don't worry about that, please. Some people have told me, Freddy, you put the text out. Yeah, Vinny Spano's text. Screw it. I don't really care. So if you need something done, let me know about it. I'll come by. I'll check it out. I'll put it on a live, and we'll let the people of the Yonkers know what needs to be taken care of, whether it's a pothole or, whatever it is. Let me know. Contact Freddy Vazquez at politicwithfred@gmail.com, and I will come by, check out what's going on, and help you get it resolved. That's what I'm about. So to the Inside Yonkers guy, rather than talking crap all the way from Florida, make sure you get your information right. A very reliable source told me. I actually showed the fresh work that was done there. They broke up the sidewalk and all that. So it's not the first time. I showed you guys a broken fire hydrant that was literally laying on its side, and it had been like that for over a week. So having problems, fire hydrants that have problems is not something that's, unusual. And I've got that repaired. So just so you know, I want to make sure that I get my information correct, and that anyone who questions my information, I want to make sure they know. Reliable sources. So to Inside Yonkers, you're wrong, guy. You are wrong. You are wrong. There's only one Freddy Vazquez. There's only one Basement Politics.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Thank you, folks, for joining.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad.
Please share the show. Make sure you share the show, guys. We need to bring more winners. And listen, I'm ready to do a rally against corruption. We got to let people know. You heard the many voices say we weren't aware of what was going on. So imagine what else the people are not aware about. That is why it's important that you share the show. Word of mouth is big. So share. We must make people aware. We got to let them know there's a lot of corruption going on here in the city of Yonkers. We got to come out and rally. It's time to rally.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
We have to come out, folks. Keep speaking out. Thank you to all the brave people that came out to speak today. Appreciate it. You all did amazing. Yonkers, I love you. I'm Freddy Vazquez. I'm up out of here.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Go Ron Matten. Go Ron. Go Ron. Yo, for the folks in District 5, man, make sure you vote for Ron Matten. I'm endorsing Ron Matten, and I'm not a Republican. The brain's got to go.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez. Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
No!
Yeah, Carolyn, actually, that's exactly what I thought about as I was leaving the Will Library. I will be working on. I actually know I thought about it. Something I was supposed to do this week, but I was reminded as I was leaving the Will Library, I will be making up some basement politics cards with the barcode scan thing so people can scan. And, join the podcast. I want to hear you guys' input. And folks, I'm working on, I get a lot of, let's call it advice from different people. A few people that feel comfortable telling me how they truly feel. And I'm working on it, right? Being a podcaster was not my thing. It's really not. I mean, I'm doing this really as my part in all this, right? My part is to do this podcast, bring the information, help push the movement forward, help get people to join the movement, put out the information, make people aware of what's happening here in the city of Yonkers, the corruption that we need to change. So that's my duty. But I'm going to be definitely very involved, very active. Hopefully I should be having, Reverend Margaret Coleman coming on at some point to join me. Also, County Legislator Christopher Johnson will be joining me on the show. And any other brave soul, any candidate that's brave enough, come on. I've emailed some of you, right? Come on the show. I'm Freddy Vazquez, Basement Politics. Thank you, folks.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
I'll be at the next meeting with cards, Carolyn, that's for sure.
No!
But let them know in the meantime, Basement Politics, where truth lives and corruption dies. Doesn't look good, does it, for the Spanos? I'm Freddy Vazquez. I done committed. I went across, across that line. I'm going all the way, right? Some people are like, hey, Freddy, maybe you should have, they win again. Listen, I'm committed. We're going to go all the way, baby. I'm not backing down, and I'm not going to half step. Let's go.